All right, everybody, I'm going to go through some extra notes that we're going to add to this diagram, which should already be in your notes. So we should have filled out how far the dropper has fallen and is the cord stretched yet. And then for, let's see, I believe it was points 4 and 5, it had stretched, and so you should have said that it stretched 5 meters and 10 meters. Okay, so what we're going to do next, I'm going to go to the next diagram. So this is the same diagram, but what I need you to add are these. And when you get down to V4, that says V4 squared. I'll show you how to use that. And then V5 is 0, which you should know because the lowest point means speed is 0. We've talked about that once. No big deal. So just add this information to your diagram, and what you're going to do is we're going to label the types of energy present. So you can either make this table if you want, or you can just write it in like we usually do on the diagram. It doesn't matter. I'm going to put it in the table because that way I have more room to write. I am doing this on the iPad today, which I'm very excited about because I'm going to write better, but it's up to you guys where you want to put it. So here we go. We're going to start off labeling the types of energy present. For me, it's easier for me to just go through like GPE for everyone, KE for everyone, and EPE for everyone. That just it. So I'm going to go which ones have GPE. Anyway, so if we look, we've always got a height. Let's see, height 1 is 40, and then height 2 is 35, 20, 15, and 10. So we always have a height above 0. So all 5 of these are going to have GPE. So I'm going to label them all GPE. And again, you guys can just do this on your diagram if you want. I just am not going to have enough space to write on the diagram, so I'm going to do it over here. Okay, great. So then we're going to look at KE. Well, if we look up here, we've got no speed at the first one, so no KE up there. We've got speed at the second, third, and fourth ones, so there's going to be KE at points 2, 3, and 4, and there's no speed again at 5, so just GPE there for now. All right, the last one we're looking at is EPE, and if we go back up here to what we did the other day, it's only stretching at points 4 and 5, so those are the 2 points where there's gonna be EPE. It's only when something has started to stretch. So here we go. So that means EPE is here, and EPE is here. Great. Okay, so we are all set, and what we're going to do next, so basically this was just adding in some speeds, labeling the forms of energy on your previous diagram. We're going to keep this diagram, and we're going to go and we're going to do this problem here. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So now we're going to say that this person here is 100 kilograms and they are attached to the bungee cord, and we're going to basically calculate all of these. We're going to fill in this table. Okay, so I'm going to go back up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by filling in my zeros. So I know at point 1 there's only GPE. So let's go to the table for the height of, this is point 1, and there's only GPE, so we've got zeros here. Point 2 has GPE and KE, so I know there's no EPE there. Point 3 has GPE and KE, so there's no EPE there either. Point 4 has all 3, so I can't write any zeros in. And point 5 has GPE and EPE, no KE. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you guys. All right, I really wish this just said point 1, 2. I'll put it in there. These are the different points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So we're going to go down here, and I'm going to do basically all my calculations one by one right down here. So I'm going to start with GPE1. I'm going to erase every single time, but luckily you guys can just pause and you can copy it down and then keep going. So what's really good about this is there's only GPE here, and we have enough information, only GPE at point 1, right? Just GPE. So, and we have enough information, M, G, and H, to calculate that, which means we'll get E total and we'll fill it on down. So we've got, and I'm not doing guide here. So H1 is 40. We've got 100 kilogram person. So I'm going to do mass is 100. We're going to forget about sig figs today. So see you later. G is always 10 when we're on Earth, which we always are. H1 is 40. So that means we've got 40,000 joules. So I'm going to put that, oops, let's do this. I'm going to put that right here. And then boom, we've got E total 40,000. I'm going to fill that in all the way down, which is awesome. Well, that's not how you write 40,000, is it? Boom. Much easier to write on my iPad. I'm so happy today. Okay, so we're done with that. We've got that all filled in. I'm going to erase this down here, so pause if you need to. Oops. Okay. Next, I'm going to do the GPE at 0.2. So height 2 is 35, so I'm going to do GPE 2. And this is how I write all this stuff down, like on my papers. So I have the table, and then underneath the table, I'll just have GPE 1, GPE 2, GPE 3, GPE 4. Obviously, I don't erase them all. KE 1, KE 2, whatever. So MGH 2, and so I just write it out like this: GPE 2 equals MGH 2. We're going to do guide. We didn't do it today, but then I just look up in my guide because there's so many numbers everywhere that when I have it all written down in my guide, it's nice and organized for me. So I'm going to start with mass is 100. G is 10 on Earth. Height 2 is 35. And that gives me 35,000. Done. So I'm going to write that down. Oops. Make it bigger for me. 35,000. And then that leaves us with just KE2. We can do one of two things. We can multiply it out. We can like calculate it out. KE2 equals 1/2 mg or 1/2 mv squared, or we can just fill it in because we know 35,000 plus KE is going to equal E total of 40,000. So I'm just going to fill this in as 5,000. I don't actually need to do those calculations. Done. Oh, God. Okay. Next, GPE3. All right, and I'm going to write this out, MGH3, which again is 100 times 10, and H3 is 20. So times 20, that's going to be 20,000. So I'm going to put that in my table. Okay, let's look at the table. Great, I don't have to calculate KE because I know 40,000 minus 20,000 is going to give me another 20,000. Because again, basically what we're doing is saying that GPE plus KE plus EPE equals E total. Okay, so 20,000 plus 20,000 plus 0 should equal 40,000, which it does. All right, get rid of that. And we're moving on. So hopefully you guys are kind of seeing a pattern here. I'm not going to do GPE 4 or 5 out. If you guys look, we're basically multiplying by 1,000 every time. So if you look at the height here, it's 40, and the GPE is 40,000. Here it's 35, 35,000. There it's 20, 20,000. So this is going to be 15,000. This is going to be 10,000. Okay. So what I am going to do is fill in the last three things here. I'm going to show you how I do that. So I'm going to look at number 5. And number 5 is 10,000 GPE, no KE. And then the last is our unknown EPE. All of that is equal to 40,000. So we can figure out pretty quick that our EPE should be 30,000 joules. And that's because 10,000 plus 0 plus 30,000 equals 40,000. So the last thing I really need to calculate is KE4. So here is what we're going to do. 1/2 mv4 squared. So we've got 1/2. The m is 100. The v4 squared, if you look here, they gave us v4 squared. So we don't need to put in 350 squared. They already squared it for us. So this is just 350. It's just a weird thing that they did. I don't know why they did that, but hey, whatever. All right, I forgot to actually calculate this before I started talking. So that is 17,500. Oh boy. So why don't I put that in for KE? Okay, and then the last thing I need to do is plug in for EPE. So I'm going to just add 15,000 and 17,500 together. I get 32,500. When I subtract that from 40,000, I get 7,500. And there we go. So that's our completed table. So when we look at this, one thing I want to talk about, so it makes sense that this GPE here is going down, right? It's getting smaller because they're dropping. The KE, it starts at 0, it goes up to 5,000, up to 20,000, but then it starts slowing down here, right? It gets a little bit slower. And when you think about it, well, now that's because some of the energy got transferred over here to EPE. Okay, and that's because between 3 and 4 is when the cord started stretching. So that's why all of a sudden we've got some EPE, it's taking away from our KE. And then this here, 0, 0, 0, because the cord isn't stretched yet. Then this cord starts to stretch, so it gets a little more, and then it stretches its max amount because lowest point. So it's up to 30,000, which is a lot. And that's how we can kind of look through and be like, yeah, this makes sense. The hardest thing to make sense of, I think, is the KE. But what you will see in these problems is that the KE will start going up, right? And then at a certain point, which is when the cord starts stretching, the stretch of it slows it down. Okay, so that's the negative part. All right, that's it for today.